Hope you're well out there and staying safe. And this week I've got an interesting project. It's one that was inspired by a question from a viewer. I wish I could find out who that was and give them credit, but I've looked back through all my comments and everything else, and for the life of me I can't find it. But anyway, a question inspired me to try this. And what it is a draped bowl over a former, and I'm going to use a technique of stacking small pieces on top of the glass and fusing all down to create a nice pattern. Now, what I would normally do is, if I want it double-sided, that is, I would normally take my base piece, stack the glass on top, fuse that all down, and then turn it over, stack some more on what is now the top but was the bottom, and fuse it again. And that way I would get my pattern on two sides. But the question I received was, can you do the whole thing in one fuse? In other words, stack the glass on the bottom, probably on the shelf, put your base piece on the top of that, then add more stacks on the top of that, and fuse the whole thing down. I've never done that, and I'm not absolutely sure whether it's a good thing to do or whether it's going to end up with a good result. So obviously, I've got to test it, and that's primarily what this piece is going to be about. If you like the video when you get to the end of it, and please wait and get to the end of it because I'm sure this is going to be an interesting result, please give me a thumbs up, share the video around. You can subscribe, and down the bottom there will be a thanks button where you can make a small donation. And thank you to everyone that has already donated. I really appreciate your support. And if you've got any questions at all, don't forget to ask them in the comments section. So we'll get on now, and first thing of course is design, materials and any special equipment you'll need. So this is the plan. I haven't done it before, but I do think there's the potential for some problems. And they are, you can see it on here, I've tried to make a little drawing for you. One of the problems potentially is that the stacks on the top are going to be falling over. This is what we're actually going to do, and this is all going to be reactive glass. I'm going to take a single 3mm sheet of glass. I'm going to stack small pieces of glass onto that. I'm going to glue them on, and then I'm going to turn the whole thing over. Hopefully all the glued on bits will stay in place. Then I'm going to stack more pieces on top of that, and hopefully it'll all stay together. Now, whether or not I'll have problems in the fusing, we will see. But one of the things that worries me a little bit is that basically when I stack the ones on the top after I've flipped it over, and you can see there what I mean, as the glass sags, maybe those stacks will fall to the side. Will it be a disaster? No, it's just going to give us a different pattern. The other thing is trapping air. So will the glass trap air as it fuses down, and basically the sheet glass hits the bottom before the air has got out around these little stack pieces? So that's something that I think is so the glass I'll be using, possible. I'm going
this
to
I'm
have
not so worried
0137,
about.
which is French vanilla.
I think that's
That's
very
going to be
possible.
my
I'm
main piece of
hoping
glass. Happen to have a
in
piece
the
of schedule
schedule
ready to go.
that won't happen because
And then I'm
I'll
going to
do
stack
a
on
little
top of
bubble
that
fuse
and
and
underneath
a
it,
fairly long bubble fuse, not a little one.
blue,
Mainly
and
blues,
hopefully we
greens,
can
that sort of
squeeze
thing,
all
but it's
that
going to
air
be,
out of there.
this is sulfur, and these contain copper, and I may even put some pieces on there that will contain lead, and we'll see how they react. And what I stack on top of that will be glass that is, again, sulfur or copper. Now this will all be 3mm glass. Now because we're going to get reactions between all of these, and we're going to have some that are underneath the main piece of glass that are going to be reacting. One of the concerns I have is that reaction basically contaminates the shelf. So to try and avoid that, I'm going to use 3mm fibre paper on that, which is this here. So it's pretty thick, and hopefully that'll stop that reaction staining my shelf, because I don't want anything in the shelf that can potentially come out and contaminate new pieces, basically. Now that means that I'm probably going to get a bit of a texture on the bottom. We'll see how that is, and if necessary I might have to refuse it to flatten it out, but I don't know. I think a little bit of texture won't be a problem. So then, once all that's fused together, and I may have to do a little bit of cold working around the edges, but because I'm going to drape this over this mould here, at least I'm going to try and drape it over this mould here, and I don't always have great success. An irregular edge is not a problem, but if I've got some bad deviate on there, well then I will probably sandblast it and then do a fire polish on it. Now don't forget, all the glass I'm using here is Bullseye 90 COE, so if you're using say 96 or something else, make sure you adjust the firing schedules I give you for your glass and your kiln. Also, don't forget to wear your mask when necessary, certainly your safety glasses, and stay safe. Special equipment. There's not really special equipment unless I have to cold work, then obviously I've got to do some grinding. And you just need a mould, whatever you're using. You can do a normal slump mould into a bowl, or this is a cocktail shaker that I'll be coating this. It's a bit rough at the moment. I'll be coating it with boron nitride. Now because I already had a piece of vanilla here, and that's already cut into a square, I'm just going to use that. And I have a lot of little pieces of glass here as well, so there is no real cutting today. So I'll just get on now, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stack some glass onto this after I've cleaned it, and glue them on this time so they don't fall off when I turn it over. And one of the reasons I want to do it that way rather than try and stack these sort of like that upside down, because I want to see the spread of colour, because to me it's important to have what I consider to be a pleasing spread of colour over the piece, and I can't see that if I'm doing that. So I'm going to do that, glue it all on. Hope that makes sense.
It's been 24 hours. Well, actually, it's only been overnight, but this should be well and truly dry. I've got some 3mm fibre paper on here. So I'm going to try and do something I've never done before. That is to turn this over without all the bits falling out and set it on this piece here. Then we'll go on and we'll stack things on the top before we put it into the kiln. So, wish me luck. Hopefully everything's stuck properly and it all goes well. Well, I'm not too sure about the colour scheme. I think I would have preferred it if we just had this colour and this reaction. I think that would have looked nice. Not so keen on these ones here, the dusty lilac and so forth, or dusty pink. But anyway, it is what it is. Now we're going to turn it over and see what it looks like. So, no, it's not going to. Stuck a bit to the underside, so it's not going to turn over. So I'll just give me a moment and I'll get that off and then we'll turn it over. Okay, I've got a mask on, so I might sound a little muffled while I turn this over. So here's the big reveal. Oh, isn't that an anticlimax? I'll have to take it away and clean it up and then I'll come back. Okay, as I was cleaning this up, I looked at this side and I thought, oh, it's not so bad after all. But just before I turn it over, I just want to show you just a little bit closer. You can see here the little black bit that come off of the element, I would think. I must check my elements, make sure they're not degrading too much. So there are a few little black bits around there. And you can see this reaction here a lot better. There'll be a reaction around this one as well. So you can see that a lot better up close. Now, turn it over. Nothing that has happened here was totally unexpected. So I'll just turn it over. Wow, that's a lot better as far as, well, colourful at least. And stronger reactions on some of it. Bring it up a bit. You can see the stronger reactions on these. But pretty much no reaction here, which is really interesting because they are reactive glasses, I'm sure. Ooh, I'll double check that just to make sure, but I'm pretty sure that cobalt blue is reactive. But I can't actually see much of a reaction anywhere, which is interesting. These red pieces are still a little raised, which doesn't surprise me, because they would have sunk down into the fibre paper, and it is very rough, and very rough edges along here. Easily cut yourself on those. So what I will have to do to fix that up is I will sandblast, cold work some of these edges and sandblast the whole thing. Clean up all the rubbish. Hopefully I can get rid of these bits as well. And then once it's all sandblasted and clean up, then I'll drape it. And I should get, without doing a fire polish that is, I should get a nice satin finish to it. As long as I don't have to do a really long drape. And sometimes you do with the drapes, you have to go a fair while to get it to come down as far as you want it. But I now have a little bit of a decision to make. What's the inside
and what's the outside? Maybe I should ask you. What do you think would look best? Should that be on the inside of the drape bowl? Or should that one? I'm not sure. Think I know which one I prefer. Actually, I'll do that. I won't finish this off this week. I'll do the drape and show it to you next week. In the meantime, I'm going to put a poll up on the community, and I'm going to ask you as well in the comments. Tell me, which side do you think should be the outside or the inside? That's side A, which is the nice shiny side, and the bottom, side B. So which side do you think should be on the outside and which on the inside? Let me know, and as many people as I can, please let me know, and I will do it whichever way the majority rule.
Well, that was interesting. Not really unexpected, I suppose, for some of it, but yeah, I don't know about my colour choice, but it is mainly a test anyway. Sorry, I didn't intend for this to be a two-part video, but I was running out of time anyway. I would have still had to do the coal working, and then of course I would have had to have it in the kiln overnight as well before I then made up the video. So good idea, I think, for you guys to have some say in which way this is going to go. So please head on over to the community tab and vote with that little poll that I've put up. Any questions so far, don't forget to ask them. And there is a couple of suggested videos up there, the subscribe button right there. And until the next video, I'll say bye for now.